Monica, the Breakthrough Life Coach, and you might hear my puppies walking around in this room because it's a tile floor, and they're with me at this moment. So that is the noise you hear. Oh, there's Tori. Tori, get out of the garbage. Anyway, I wanted to share something with all of you that I think will really hit home with many of you. I had a coaching session early this morning, and we hit upon something that I thought was really important. My client this morning was telling me that she was struggling with this idea of being a codependent people pleaser because she wanted people to like her. She was struggling with this idea that, her saying yes to her husband and her saying yes to her children and yes to employees and, people that she knew was coming from a place of, please like me. And as we investigated it, what we realized was that she was coming from a place of people pleasing because of something that I call codependent empathy / projection. Bear with me. I'll try to explain it. So very oftentimes, those of us who have felt abandoned and rejected and alone, we end up wanting to be people who bring people together. So if you have suffered from abandonment and exclusion, then you might be someone today that looks to include people rather than exclude people. So you're all about bringing people together. You're all about helping people feel seen. I can so relate to that. I have such an issue with people feeling alone. And I know that comes from the way that I grew up. I felt so alone as a child. And it's difficult for me to think about people who feel alone today. And that is probably one of the strongest forces within me that helps me stay motivated to want to continue to make YouTube videos and to create programs, membership sites, whatever, trying so many Facebook groups. Oh my God, so that might be why I don't like the idea of anybody feeling left out. My channel, I thought about creating a channel that was so full of information and videos and meditations and tools that somebody out there at 2 o'clock in the morning who felt all alone could turn on YouTube and literally Google, why do I feel this way? Or how do I feel my feelings? Or, what can I do about being codependent? Or my mom's a narcissist. I wanted them to be able to feel included and not so alone. Now, going back to my client now, if you relate to that, if that resonates with you, that you grew up feeling so alone, and today as a result, you struggle with setting boundaries with people, and you, like my client, aren't convinced it's because you need to be needed, and you're not convinced that it's because it's coming from this place of low self-esteem, where instead it might be a form of codependent, empathetic, or empathy projection, meaning that we don't want to do to someone what we would hate someone to do to us. So let's say, for instance, you're a boss and or a manager, and you need to really fire someone. Like they're not showing up for work, they're not putting their best foot forward. You show up every day for work, you put your best foot forward, but this team that you're working with, you just know that there's one person that is just taking advantage, coming in late, leaving early, isn't very motivated, and is really bringing the group down. Even though you know that this person should be held accountable, right? And that this person, if they're not giving 100% at the job, maybe it's not the right job for them. Even though it's your job to make sure that you have the best people on your team, you might struggle with holding that person accountable because you struggle with knowing or presuming, or you struggle with wondering how that person is going to feel because you can so easily put yourself in that person's place, and you are struggling with how you would feel if you were fired or if you were excluded from the group. And so it's important to think about it. It's important to, wonder and question, is that me? Am I struggling with holding people accountable? Because I can very easily imagine what it might feel like to be that person who's being, eliminated from the group. And so we would over empathize. And actually, what's happening is we are projecting our wounds and our uncomfortableness with not being included onto this person. And we're missing a big chunk of it. The big chunk of it is that in the case of, let's say you're an employer, or in the case of holding someone responsible, maybe one of your friends, or just someone that in case of holding them responsible, when you prevent yourself from being able to set a boundary, if you're an employer, manager, or somebody in charge, and you need to really make sure that your team is working optimally, if you struggle with holding someone accountable, ask yourself if you're projecting. Ask yourself if you struggle with feeling alone. Ask yourself if you have felt abandoned, rejected, and isolated. Because if you still have those types of feelings and that unresolved stuff, going on within you, you're going to struggle holding someone accountable and holding them to what they should be doing at work, how they should be treating you as a friend. And then what happens is you fail to understand that that person is not you. You might be somebody who shows up 100%, right? And in failing to hold this person accountable, you are ignoring the fact that this person is not you, and that you and they are not the same person, and that you just might be projecting instead of holding this person accountable. When we experience that, what we do is invalidate the self. We say, in this case of being a manager, let's say I'm a manager and I'm struggling because I have to do 3 times the work because this employee is not doing what he or she is supposed to do. And every day they come in, it's another sob story. My grandmother died, or my dog had diarrhea, or my car broke down. Oh, somebody broke into my apartment. Someone stole my Visa card. My uncle's cheating on my aunt. Every day it's a story. Every day. Everybody else can have stuff going on in their life and show up for work on time and do what they got to do. But there's this one person that is bringing your office down or bringing your team down. And because you might struggle with being rejected, or you might struggle with feeling alone or being not included, you might not be able to hold that person accountable, not because you are seeking their approval. No, not because you have low self-esteem, but because as somebody who struggles with boundaries, somebody who's a codependent, somebody who's highly empathic, intuitive, and someone who struggles with their own feelings of abandonment and their own fear of loneliness, and they could imagine how they would feel if their boss said to them, hey, you're out of here, you're not included anymore. When you are that person in charge, or you're that person in a situation and you're unable to hold your friend accountable because you can imagine how it would feel and you wouldn't want to do that to anybody, you are invalidating yourself. Absolutely. I can tell you in my own experience that with my ex-husband, I knew things about him and I know things about him that I would never share with anybody, ever. Believe it or not, there are some things that I absolutely would not share. But the reality is that he had no problem saying things about me that they were horrible, and they were lies. And so this was someone that could do something to me that I could never do to him, because I had codependent, I think, empathy. And I was projecting onto him how I would feel if someone revealed about me something that was not true. And so I held my tongue, and I did not hold him accountable for a lot of things, not because I was seeking his approval in those situations, but because I couldn't imagine how it would feel to be him if I let the cat out of the bag. And so I didn't do it. Even though he was slaughtering me, in so many different ways, financially, gaslighting me, flying monkeys, you name it, discard, lies, smear campaign, you name it, stealing my family from me. Well, there really wasn't much to steal anyway, but you know what I mean. Even though he was doing all that, I couldn't do it, so I was unable to hold him accountable. And so, it's important to, I always say you can't heal, or fix a hole in the wall you can't see. So for those of you who are struggling to set boundaries with other people, and you identify with being a codependent or somebody who's been narcissistically abused, ask yourself, am I projecting my feelings onto this person? Am I unable to hold this person accountable because I'm imagining what it would feel like to be that person and to be held accountable? Ask yourself. And then what you want to do is you want to remind yourself that you're not that person. You're not that friend who's humiliating you. You're not humiliating your friend, right? You're not that worker or coworker that is coming in late, making excuses for why they can't do a good job. You're not that person. And so holding them accountable might be something you absolutely have to do. And it might be the only way this person can learn. And my experience is, personally as well as professionally, that a lot of people that are so inconsiderate and always have an excuse for not doing a good job, they aren't so put off by being held accountable. They know it's coming, and they get over it quick and they just jump to the next job. And, they never say, yes, it was me. They'll always say, oh, the manager was jealous of me. Or, oh, the boss never liked me. Oh, that girl was a bitch. And she was best friends with the manager and that's why I got fired. They're not going to take the boundary like you would. So anyway, I hope that helps some of you. I know that it was very helpful today during my session. And it even helped me get clear about my own stuff too. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And dear ones, continue to be you. Shine on, rock on, believe in the love and the light that is absolutely within you. And just remember, even if you can't feel it right now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's a light inside all of us. And you know why I know that? Because we're absolutely all light at our core. That's the truth. Investigate it. Look it up if you don't believe me. You are enough, dear ones. Until next time. Oh, and by the way, please consider subscribing. And if you don't know it, I just launched a membership site, and you can go check it out at https://bit.ly/Lisa A. Romano. It is full of 20 years of work, 20 years of tools, 20 years of journaling prompts, videos, you name it, programs that are all a part of this membership site. So go check it out. Namaste, everybody. I bow to the love and the light that is absolutely in you. Bye for now.